Thomas.
Okay, so because I hear still discussion that's going on. Good. Am I to be heard by everybody? And can the presentation be seen?
Yeah.
No, I will move on.
Go on, go on.
That's interesting.
Go on, we can hear you. It's okay.
Okay, thank you. So, okay, let's start again after overcoming the technical difficulties. Thank you again for the invitation and for the opportunity to present our work at our region here in Jerusalem. My name is Thomas Bauer. I am a geologist and soil scientist by training, and I work since 2018 in a collaborative research alliance named Land Innovation in East Asia. It's the region we are talking about. And we also work on main focus, but also on the side, you can say, because it's part of our work with communities. And I want to first present our region and then what we do in general, and then there's my colleague Lea Brunner. She's also from Cottbus, from Institute of Heritage Management, and she will talk about two main themes and subjects that she is working on within the framework of land. So, I know lunch is approaching. We will try to be as fast as possible. First, quick overview of the region. The section you can see here is in the extreme southeast of Germany. It has main focus of the industry is and was the lignite coal mining and energy production. And this is declining since 1990 and still going on, and with the definitive exit from to decarbonization in 2038, this region will have to reinvent itself somehow. So we have still a decline in population in the section from 1.3 in 2002 to 1.1, so 2.1 today. And also we have, it's quite a rural region, we come later to that. And now there are really strong aims to diversify the region and the economy, and still to preserve the self-confidence of the region as an energy producing region. And so there's really quite funding available for the region. First, the federal money in Germany, and it's due to the strengthening of the rural regions. There's a law for that, and the financing will be up to a volume of 40 billion euros. And energy regions are the central German and Union mining districts. The other two important mining districts, but also the Seychelles one is not the biggest of them all. And this is a region that is divided between one organization and regional states. So this money supports generally the structural change in core regions and its financial assistance for investments in various areas. It's very broadly decided. So it can be infrastructure, it can be economy, spending on communities, for example, but also climate protection. And there's another approach, another funding available, which is also true for every European country, especially for those regions in Europe that are undergoing decarbonization. And this is the Net Zero Valley, not Act, it's the Net Zero Industry Act, and initiative for Net Zero Valleys within this Act. And in fact, the station was the first region to apply for funding and to work out the concept for becoming a Net Zero Valley. And this will be a volume of about 70 billion euro public structural aid and about 20 billion in private investments. So this plan it's not written in stone, it's all in the making. Last month they presented it in Brussels, University mostly in Cottbus, which is the main biggest city in this area. You can say the capital. So university capital at least. And there's one big project going on, and this is the funding of new Palestinian university. Cottbus is to be about 2.7 billion euros. Then there's a new railroad and maintenance plant coming to Cottbus, quite change of plans because the old one was about to be closed. Now there will be a new one and it will be serving the whole IC fleet, so the high-speed trains in the future. Then there's of course the big energy producer, and coal mining company that is owned by Czech billionaires and big fund from Czech Republic. And they want to also continue produce energy, but clean energy, renewable energy, and also have some storage technology in the making. And they want to invest 10 billion euros in the region. Then there's the House and Science Park. So this is a BTU, University, which is the biggest university in East Asia. It will be in the future, coming decades, hopefully a hub for many new researchers and create several thousand jobs. Then, of course, we have tourism, the Lake District, which is also a consequence of the lignite mining, will probably grow largely in the future. And also, there's some scientific investment coming, which is not mainly the structural shape, but because of the geology of the region, it's the ancient telescope, which is probably coming to North Asia and beyond is due to the certain geological advantages the region has. So this sounds quite positive. We have lots of funding available or already spent in the region, but there are also challenges because you cannot spend the funding or it will be ineffective if you don't have enough skills or expertise. Right now, we saw the climate populace. This could be a problem in the future. How can these high quality jobs be occupied? The workforce has to come from somewhere. The people in the region need to attract people, highly qualified people, and it means also that it has to invest in its attractivity, that means social structure, infrastructure, or everything you can imagine is the additional costs for the communities, especially purpose. And also for the German-wide or Europe-wide this bureaucracy, you have a lot of money available, but it cannot be spent in time because bureaucracy is handling everything. And you of course have to facilitate the transfer of scientific research into the economy, and this is one of the business region because of the small structure and only focused on energy production, and so there was never a development of an R&D culture in the region. And also you have to have an acceptance of the changes that are coming from the local populace. This is an important thing. And we have increasingly difficult environmental framework conditions, mainly water shortages, which is an important element for many industries. And they're still missing, at least in our opinion, a holistic approach, a general plan to put it all together in the region. So, how do we fit into the picture? We as relatively small research alliance, Land Innovation Lausitz, we aim at ecological, economical, and social aspects of the whole structural change in the region. And I give you a brief introduction to our research alliance. It's funded since 2019 by the German Ministry for Research, Technology, and space traveling. So that's the new name. We have to get used to it since the new government is installed. It's has a volume of about 14.6 million euros in funding. The main partners are the BTU, the big university in East Asia, and the Leibniz Center for Agricultural Landscape Research, which is one of the most well-known agricultural research centers in Germany. We have currently 13 projects running out of a total of 25. Most of them are already finished because our funding ends in early 2026, but we want to continue with alternative funding, of course. And we have more than 50 partners in projects or associated partners coming from all kinds of branches and also not only from the regions, but also from other German states and mainly from Potsdam and Berlin also. So why do we focus on land innovation in Lusatia? We see here that the climate change and the special conditions in Lusatia create problems for agriculture. It is foreseeably not possible to do any rain-based agriculture during the summer months because droughts are getting frequent. Right now we have a drought situation. The geological or soil conditions are not really favorable. It's mainly sandy soils and they are prone to evaporation and wind erosion. And we have this still conventional agricultural land use practices, which comes along with loss of biodiversity and the whole erosion problematic and lots of spending of resources or inefficient farming in general. So our motivation is to create new agricultural systems based on sustainable bioeconomy, develop new value chains based on the use of biomass, and finding regional answers for global challenges, because many regions globally are standing before that problem of how to cope with climate change, especially concerning agriculture and still uphold the agricultural production. So some aspects of our work include the invention or development of new soil enhancers like this one you see here, these pellets made from clay from the region combined with organic matter. We hope that this will improve at least some soils or some land use systems, maybe also something for gardening, but it will use local resources, which is good. Then one of the main focuses is to foster known or new cultivation systems like our agroforestry. You see here, agroforestry is quite an old concept, but has a renaissance because it can really stop evaporation or at least minimize evaporation from soil due to wind and also erosion due to wind. So this is ideal for Lusatia, we can say. Then another focus is on wild plants. That means plants that grow naturally in the regions, which often have also unknown ingredients and that can be commercially exploited. And the problem is to cultivate them in a way that they can also be harvested at a certain point of time. And colleagues working on that. And we have also, and this is one of the other main centers, the innovative materials based on biomass. So that means this bioecology in the narrower sense, meaning you produce, for example, foils, which are shown here, but mainly we focus on paper and packaging made from fiber-rich plants that are also used as fodder or food. So we have a double use idea of those plants. And this is the focus today, we also want to develop a vision for a transformed cultural landscape that integrates all those innovations we are aiming at into one functioning landscape mosaic, but also strengthen the regional self-confidence and enhance the public perception of Lusatia. And this is one of the examples given then by Lea. And the other aspect is to allow for sustainable transition and a more efficient transition or transformation of the landscape and the economy by repurposing existing infrastructure from the former industrial phase we are about to close here in Lusatia. So with that preface, I give to my colleague Lea Brönner, who will present those projects in more detail.
Yes, thank you. Also from my part for the invitation. So I want to come back to this image that we have seen before, just to remind you that the projects that I'm about to present are happening in a region, Lusatia, where, as you can see here, about 50% really of the region at one point was a mine or continues to be so. So it is really a really big post-mining landscape that we are working with here, meaning that we have had very strong incisions into the landscape, the natural landscape, but also the cultural landscapes. You can see here that over the past 100 years, 137 villages or towns were devastated in order to make space for mining. So I think this already gives an idea of how complex the topic is for regional development and why we are focusing also on the cultural landscape in those structural change projects. So on the next slide, you can see about Lusatia today. As I said, this complexity really comes from the landscape developments over the past 100 years, but it comes also from the fact that the perspectives are so different. So we have generations of families that have worked in mining. So people who are very proud of having contributed to generating electricity for the country, where there's a lot of emotional connection to the work of the miners. Then we have people who worked in recultivation, but we also have people whose family histories are connected to the loss of their homes, of their culture, because of the resettlements. And there's obviously also those who worked in a mine and still lost their home. So it's really also talking about cultural identity, a very complex issue. So living in the Lusatian post-open cast mining landscape, which is what Lusatia really is today, presents challenges. It presents challenges towards regional identity, but obviously also regarding economic development with the coal phase out coming. So the questions, how can we continue? And there is little awareness that actually the cultural perspective, so seeing the developments of the past 100 years or more as cultural heritage, that really has a lot of potential to help with regional development. So that brings me to the first example that I want to quickly introduce to you, which is the World Heritage Initiative, so the UNESCO initiative of the Lusatian post-open cast mining landscape. And you might wonder what makes that landscape unique. Why do we believe that it could be World Heritage, and what does that have to do with structural change? Why do we believe that that's actually an adequate measure to take during a phase of structural change? You already saw the map, so you could see that the dimensions of the Lusatian post-mining landscape are really unique. It's in fact the biggest coherent post-open cast mining landscape in the world. And those dimensions allow to really show how the era of fossil resource extraction, which is a worldwide phenomenon, how radical that was. We spoke about people losing their homes, so the radicality is really visible in the dimension. Every lake that we have today, and the lakes are many, used to be a mine, but we also see the innovative spirit that came from it. So how people really used the incisions into their lives, into the cultural landscape they live within, to come to new innovations, to new ideas, how to redesign the landscape, how to reappropriate the landscape also. So we have here a landscape that has a diversity of approaches of tackling the issues, the challenges that come from the mining history, also with regard to the soils. You already heard about all of the projects that Landinnovation Lausitz has currently ongoing, and in a way they are a continuation of a tradition that has happened here. So the continuity of finding solutions to dealing with difficult soils, that nowadays it's mainly due to climate change. Before it was due to the soils after mining. But this is really something that's very special here, and it also shows how those approaches changed with political decisions, etc. So it's really a very, very well example to show this worldwide phenomenon in one component, let's say. So what does this mean for Lusatia? It means basically that change is part of the identified value. That is something that's very important to understand, because we're talking about structural change, and we're talking about a cultural landscape that has changed over the past 100 years. But we also know it was already named in 38, we will end the coal phase out in Germany. But the post-mining landscape will develop for at least until the end of the century, probably longer actually. So we obviously also need to leave room and give space for further innovations that come within that value concept. And this is how actually a World Heritage Initiative can fit into structural change and can become a tool for regional development. So I want to focus on that quickly. So how can the World Heritage Initiative strengthen cultural change? It really, from our side, working on the cultural side of structural change, we focus on the regional identity. I think this already became clear. So as I already said, we really have a complex mosaic also of different identities linked to the landscape in Lusatia today. Histories of loss, histories of pride, all of the different aspects that we already have internally. So internally, there are different perspectives, but then we also from outside have the problem that it's very often seen negatively. So outside meaning the rest of Germany sees that in context of climate change, obviously Lusatia contributed to the problems we are facing in climate. So this is also something that interferes with people's identity. And now here we are knowing that 10 years from now, a lot of workspace will be lost, etc. So people, again, feel insecurity. The whole regional identity is really something that is an issue here. The World Heritage Initiative wishes to encourage a reorientation of the region's self-perception. So it tries to help people to reclaim their cultural identity by getting new perspectives of the landscape, by really understanding the achievements that have been made without trying to erase also the negative part. So it's really an initiative that tries to hear all the different voices, bring them together, and strengthen the feeling of belonging to this region and the connection of the people to this cultural landscape again. And recognizing and understanding the cultural heritage of this landscape. That is what really establishes it as a platform for regional development. This is what helps to get the contact of the different municipalities. We already heard how many municipalities are part. It's over 50 in this region. So for them to work together and to use the cultural heritage that exists here as a stimulus for structural change projects. And that is something that we really believe in. It is something that takes a long time, though. So for those wondering, of course, World Heritage, UNESCO World Heritage is not something that happens from one day to the next. We started in 2020, and you can see that we will definitely be moving into the 2030s until this is a realistic scenario. Why is it important to believe it anyways? It gives us time to really change the perspective and to integrate the landscape, the innovations, everything that has happened here into the identity of people, and to really make it a core element of regional development. And it also facilitates a sense of direction, to say, because if we have the coal phase out in 2038, and we manage to maybe become a World Heritage Site around the same time, then it kind of helps bridging that gap. It helps bridging that potential loss of orientation that some people fear, by turning or by showing that the energy generation that is so typical for this region is recognized, and that we don't want to just move forward and forget everything that happened before, but that we really also want to integrate that into the region's future. So what challenges do we have to overcome in this? It's really the multifaceted different dimensions that I already spoke about, the different perspectives. And this is where the second example comes in that I want to quickly show. It's a more local project where we want to document the intersection of intangible and tangible mining heritage. And Thomas, you can already jump to the next or the slide after even. Thank you. So this is a project that developed from the first project, and here we really want to see which mining traditions continue to be important for the region, and we want to see how can we contribute to social cohesion and to the regional identity by basically finding ways to reuse existing structures. So buildings, everybody of you knows probably, if you think of your hometown, there's certain places that you have in mind that are part of what this place means to you. Now, as for the past 100 years, more than 100 years, everything was shaped by mining. Obviously, there's a lot of buildings and areas shaped by mining that are important to people and that make their place their home. But we obviously have the problem that in the future, if they become obsolete because mining is no longer in place, they might be demolished. So what we are trying to do is to identify the value levels of those buildings outside of their mining context. So what do those buildings mean for people, so the community? What do they mean for urban development and urban planning, so the urban planning institutions? What do they mean for the municipalities? And then we want to match all of those different aspects to really develop a guideline for the valorization and the reuse of former mining sites to keep them in the future. And as you already heard, we are part of this research alliance, Land Innovation Lausitz. So of course we want to do that by focusing on bioeconomy. So basically by really showing also how the region does not have to let go of their self-perception as we are a region that produces energy, but to basically transform what it means to generate energy, but to maintain the local markers, the buildings, etc., that come with it. So the aspects of co-creation here are really that we work together, regional planning institutes, monument protection agencies, and the municipalities. We're all in this together, and that is very exciting. It's a very exciting approach, but it also comes with challenges, and that's what I want to maybe also share with you. And I'm curious to know if you have also examples of that or how your work is. And I'm already Exactly, we can move forward. Thank you. So what challenges do we have to overcome? Very often the partnership between the different levels here. So the municipalities, the Monument Protection Agency, etc. That is very challenging because we focus on the research. We want to really benefit long-term from this. So we are doing surveys, we're talking to people, we are out in the field. And obviously the municipalities always need, they need results that happen a lot faster. So this is something that we are still in the process of finding out. But we really believe that despite challenges that arise from such attempts, so to integrate cultural heritage into structural change projects, it's really worth it because it is a step towards more inclusive regional and town planning that really also helps to gain the acceptance in the local population by hearing their traditions, hearing their links to the region, and taking that into a sustainable future. And with that, I would like to end. And we're open for your questions, obviously.
Yeah, thank you again from me, Lea, and yeah, open for questions.